Yes,
Like,
sir.
what's
Ski big sales of Toronto.
his name is Pistol though, bro. Like, what did niggas really expect?
I expect him to be man and
He got the crazy story, man. Let's see. This shit's chopped up into chapters and parts and shit. You want more Toronto stories and you feel me? Tales of Toronto. Listen, I know y'all like child support channel. We did the other video. Y'all was like, he got better, I guess, explanations and content. Tell us what else y'all want to see. We here for Pistol though, so tune in.
Pissed
know.
out.
Subscribe. Tell us what else to react to, man. Get comfortable.
Yes, sir.
Follow the Twitch.
Pistola.
Project Marvel, a cross-country organized crime bust. In all, 67 search warrants were executed in a dozen jurisdictions.
The people that have been apprehended are alleged to have been involved in quite significant, serious criminal, violent activity involving drugs and guns and other organized crime behaviors.
When the investigation started, it was focused on 2 street-level gangs in Ontario.
Preza.
Get it poppin', sonny boy greedy. Yeah. Mama said friends influence you to do the wrong things. Friends got you.
The Young Buck Killers, also referred to as YBK.
Young Buck Killers is interesting because they've got connections throughout Canada. They've recruited. They have affiliates.
The Young Buck Killers, aka YBK, was a Toronto-based criminal organization started by a group of teens in the north side of Jane and Finch from
Jane
a
and
block known
Finch.
as Up Top. During the early 2000s, Up Top was known to
I
be a
forgot who's from
hotspot
there.
for drug activity and violent crimes. It seems YBK simply adapted to their environment as they were engaged primarily in the
Preza from Jane
distribution
and Finch.
and sale of narcotics and
Oh,
living in a
Preza.
community where drug use was rampant.
okay.
They became successful enough to rent apartments and condos as safe houses for members to work out of and sleep in. The crew quickly gained notoriety within the streets of Toronto, with members even conducting operations within detention facilities. Within a few years, the number of members reached into the hundreds, with several scattered throughout Canada. Their operation grew so big, it caught the eye of Toronto police, who by the summer of 2011 would organize a mass raid on the crew, calling it Project Marvel.
Attempted murder, prostitution. We have
Nigga,
breaking
they
news
indicted
this hour
niggas.
on a cross-Canada crackdown on gang crime.
It's crazy.
Raids are underway in
Because
cities
feds really be trying to
like
indict
Toronto,
gangs, and
all
that
the
shit
way out
don't
to
stop nothing.
Vancouver
All it does
in
is
the
just
middle of
make
night.
the younger
A
generation just be like,
94-year-old
I'm up next
grandmother
now.
among those
Nah, yeah.
arrested in a series
My turn to
of
step
police
in.
raids.
Handguns, automatic rifles, and
God, they
more
still
than
gonna jack the same game. Like, ain't
$100,000
nothing
in
really
cash.
on.
Items seized during yesterday's cross-country crackdown. Was many of
Damn,
those
nigga.
arrested, some as young as 14.
Wait, was that a
Charges
what?
That include those
Yes,
items
nigga.
seized
Was that a
during
rifle?
Yes,
yesterday's
nigga.
Cross-country crackdown.
Yes.
What the?
Arrested, some as young
That's
as 14,
crazy.
facing charges that include attempted murder. They appeared in
Sounds
court
sad.
today, one by one.
You're
and
trying to
many
get
Yo.
have already
active.
been
It's real Arthur Morgan shit.
Look in their rooms, check. You might have a killer on the dinner table.
Confidential informants told police that the Young Buck Killers were led by 3 gang bosses: Mohammed Hersey, Guled Mahadale aka Gully, and Shamar Gardner. Gully was the older brother of Wasp Gang rapper FB, while some may recognize Shamar as Press's older brother, Bundog.
Yo,
After Project
Press's
Marvel,
older
Gully was
brother
deported to
started
Somalia,
this?
He
while
was-
Bundog
he was-
and Mohammed Hersey were
had a
given
hunch
10
though.
and 14-year sentences respectively. With the dismantling of the OG leaders, Toronto police assumed they had entered
Wait.
the violent gang's operations.
The person got
Little
arrested
did
or he
they
just got
know,
deported?
YBK
Got
had
deported.
several underlings ready to take over. One of them was this 17-year-old kid, Tyshay Gordon, aka Pistol. Raised in Lawrence Heights,
17-year-old.
commonly referred to as Jungle, Pistol had a rough upbringing. His father was gunned down when he was only 3, and since then, his mother was left to raise him and his 5 brothers alone. By the 3rd grade, he would earn his first of many suspensions from school for a fight. His troubles went on until his sophomore year in high school, when he would be suspended for 20 days after assaulting another student. He was placed into anger management and counseling, but none of it helped. Now 15, on the verge of being expelled from school, with no money and nobody to turn to, Pistol would drop out of school altogether. Throughout 2014 and 2015, he would be in and out of juvenile detention for various drug trafficking offenses as well as assault. By the time he was 17, Pistol was
I'm trying
fully
to get them
immersed in a
gone.
lavish criminal lifestyle. Within 2 years of dropping out of high school, Pistol became a reputable drug trafficker for the Young Buck Killers. He carried numerous false IDs and credit cards, and in addition to his taste for expensive champagne, he was known to drive lavish rental cars and lease luxury condos. He was spending no less than $4,000 a month funding this lifestyle. Court documents also noted that Pistol was without a doubt the most violent member from YBK.
Damn.
10 at 17, really putting in pain.
Killing shit.
On
Nigga,
April
walk
18,
down.
2016, at
Nigga
the
said I
peak of
have
his
a
criminal
Beamer
career,
and a
Pistol would host an overnight party
condo.
at a downtown Toronto
17.
condo. He would invite 5 of his
Not glorifying
associates,
it,
including Pressa, who Toronto police labeled as
hold
one
on.
of the invite 5 of his associates, including Pressa, who Toronto police labeled as one of the co-leaders of YBK, and 23-year-old Ransky Gleeshy. All 5 men were armed, with some carrying multiple firearms. Ransky, who was a rising rapper at the time, also invited his childhood friends, MC and KP. Despite only being 16, KP was on the run from police, while MC was out on bail and was a member of a gang called the Queens Drive Crips. Unbeknownst to MC, several of his Queens Drive affiliates had problems with some of the YBK members at the party, especially Pistol. Somehow they found out MC was kicking it with him, and they weren't happy. In the midst of the party, they kept spamming MC's phone, trying to pressure him into dropping the location. He refused and hung up on them, but seconds later, KP's phone started ringing. It was the Queens Drive members asking for the location again, but this time, they got what they needed. KP dropped the location, but in the midst of the phone call, Pistol, who was watching what was going down from a distance, snatched the phone and started going off on the Queens Drive crew. A nasty argument would ensue to the point where Pistol challenged the Queens Drive members to meet them at the front of the building. They agreed, so Pistol gathered the other YBK members and made their way towards the lobby of the building. KP, MC, and 4 girls were left alone in the apartment. Unbeknownst to the YBK members, as they made their way down to the lobby, the Queens Drive members were already in the building and on their way
so
up to their
Press is
apartment.
one of these niggas?
Boy, got them on camera and all that.
Completely unaware their rivals were now standing by their front door, the YBK members made their way back up to their apartment. Seconds later, CCTV managed to capture the moment the rival crews would meet face to face. Almost like a scene out of a Quentin Tarantino film, as soon as both crews locked eyes, a gunfight would break out. CCTV captured Pistol and a YBK member running down the hallway towards the staircase in an attempt to escape, while a Queens Drive member runs towards the elevator aiming a gun inside the cab, which was occupied by Ransky and another YBK member. Ransky reacts defensively, while his partner cowers in the corner of the elevator. A handgun can be seen clearly in Ransky's hand as he dives for the floor, while the other man appears to be reaching for a weapon inside his coat, although the weapon itself is not seen. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, as the door closes and both men escape the building unharmed. Pistol and the other YBK affiliates, including Pressa, who luckily was not in the same cab with the rest of his crew, managed to escape the building unharmed as well.
Yeah, but didn't he point the gun straight inside of the elevator?
That shit he didn't shoot. That shit must have jammed.
KP, MC, and the girls who were left in the apartment heard the entire thing unfold.
That corner right there,
Shortly
fam.
after the shooting,
Live.
they all left the building and hailed a taxi, but in the middle of the ride, KP and MC kicked the girls out and redirected the driver to the home of Ransky's mother, located in Swansea Mews. They would be met by an infuriated Pressa, Ransky, and the 2 other YBK affiliates shortly after. They began accusing MC and KP of setting them up by dropping the location of the party. They denied the accusations, but the YBK members had already made up their mind. Now this is when things get out of hand. According to official court documents, KP and MC were ambushed, tied up, and strapped to a bed. MC noted Pressa began pistol whipping them, causing them to bleed extensively. The rest of the YBK members...
I didn't even know Pressa was on bad time.
Yo, that's crazy. Yo, there was a point in time when niggas was like, I was talking about Preza and Tory Lanez song. Niggas was like, oh, you talking about Coiler and Boyfriend? I'm like, yeah, man. This nigga...
I remember he had that song. I forgot what song it was.
Bro, Canada Goose.
Yeah. Yeah, but I forgot how old. Like we was listening to that shit in high school.
That's what I'm saying, bro. And like he was
Shit is
really out
tough.
here in Toronto, like putting in pain.
Yeah, but
like,
I ain't know he was tying niggas up to the bed. Like, oh yeah, it was you.
nigga, Corey was like, nah, this is my man's right here, bro. What you mean? I fuck with this nigga.
Nigga, presser.
Into this though, goddamn.
Shortly after the assault, Pistol arrived. He was even more furious than the rest of the crew and began calling the shots immediately. However, in the midst of the chaos, a police officer knocked on the front door. He was standing there with one of the girls at the party, who had seemed to be left behind. She was completely out of it and, according to the officer, had attempted to evade paying for a taxi. Pistol provided the officer with money to pay for the cab, and he went on his way, completely unaware of what was unfolding just steps away. Several hours would pass by, and most likely out of boredom, Pistol pointed a gun at the kidnapped duo and forced them to play Russian roulette on each other with a revolver. MC said that the gun clicked 5 times before there was a shot. Luckily, the bullet went straight past KP's head. However, Ransky wasn't happy. He was infuriated about there being a gun fired in his house and proceeded to tell the group they had to leave. MC and KP had their hands tied and were taken to a parking garage. As they were being moved, MC made an attempt to escape, but he wouldn't make it far. The kidnappers wrangled him up and stuffed him into the back seat of a getaway vehicle along with KP. They drove towards Pistol's block, Jungle, where the kidnapped duo were then taken to 2 different trap houses. While in the first trap, MC was beaten for nearly 3 hours. The assault was so brutal the group had to leave because a crackhead living there threatened to call the police. Shortly after they arrived, Pistol began making phone calls to the brother of MC, threatening to kill him if he wasn't paid a hefty bag. At first, he wanted $50,000, but Pistol settled for $10,000. Then his older brother arrived along with his friend. MC said the friend took a wooden dolphin off the wall and beat him with it until it broke. Pistol took a picture of the aftermath and sent that to MC's brother as well, which is also when he was informed of the recorded sexual assault. MC's brother would begin pulling strings to get the $10,000, but in the meantime, word had already got out that MC had been kidnapped. Pictures of him tied up would surface on social media and would eventually find its way to his mother, who, instead of calling the police, got in her car and began driving around Queens Drive looking for her son. She saw Ransky walking down a street wearing MC's sweater, so she confronted him. Ransky flashed a gun in his pocket and told her MC deserved everything that happened to him. He then walked away. It would now be a total of 2 days since MC and KP have been seen, and their families would begin to worry, especially MC's grandmother. She noticed her daughter and grandchildren pacing back and forth while checking their phones constantly. After begging them to tell her what was wrong, they eventually confessed to her that MC had been kidnapped. Unlike his mother, MC's grandmother went straight to the police, who then wiretapped the phones of his entire family. Through this procedure, Toronto police obtained an abundant amount of information into who was involved, and by listening into MC's brother's calls, they were also able to ascertain that Pistol was the ringleader of the entire ordeal. Investigators instructed MC's mother to negotiate with Pistol to have her son and KP released in exchange for $3,000. Pistol agreed and asked to meet at a gas station the next day, but unbeknownst to him, undercover officers would be waiting around the corner. After 3 days of being held captive, MC and KP were finally released after Pistol was paid the $3,000. After the exchange, however, the vehicle carrying Pistol and the rest of the YBK members sped off immediately, sensing they were being watched. The squad car placed at the meetup location to watch the exchange go down did their best to tail the suspect vehicle, but it was too late. They got away.
Well, tonight we're learning more about two gangs allegedly involved in the violent shootout and kidnapping that all began here on the 25th floor of this downtown condo building. The 2 gangs allegedly involved in this violent kidnapping are the Young Buck Killers and the Queens Drive Crips.
The Young Buck Killers is interesting because they've got connections throughout Canada. They have recruited, they have affiliates in Hamilton, and even out of Saskatchewan they've got affiliates.
This Driftwood gang was part of a sweep a few years back, but is still going strong because of younger recruits, while the Queens Drive Crips from the Jane and Wilson area have been laying low for many years. Warrants have been issued for a 17 and 23-year-old accused of beating and torturing their rival gang members, while today a 51-year-old man was arrested in connection to that kidnapping.
We have judicial authorization to release two of these. The one photo here is a 17-year-old boy, Troy Shea Gordon, a.k.a. Pistol, who's wanted for numerous kidnapping offenses, and along with the adult, which is Lincoln Richards, who's 23 years of age.
Just 2 days after losing the YBK members, Toronto police would have no choice but to release Canada-wide warrants for them. The faces of Ransky and Pistol were plastered all over the city, while on the same day of the news release, officers at 31 Division would receive tips suggesting Pressa was in the area of Jane and Finch. With the information provided, officers began surveying the area to find him. They spotted him congregating in the area, but Pressa spotted them as well. He took off and a brief foot chase ensued, but he wouldn't make it far. He was arrested and charged with a hefty list of offenses, including kidnapping. While incarcerated, Pressa was subject to a brutal beating by rival gang members and had both of his arms broken, but Pressa himself would later refute those allegations on a track called Orange Jumpsuit, where he claims he actually sent one of them to the ER.
When I sent him to ER, can't take his teeth out, cause he already toothless. And I left that fight with little scrapes, no bruises. Niggas ain't real.
2 weeks after Pressa was captured, police had received information indicating Pistol would be at a condo beside Fairview Mall. On May 4th, while the supporting material for a warrant was being prepared, several officers conducted surveillance of the exterior of the building. At approximately 8:07 p.m., he saw a male on the balcony of an apartment unit. He was smoking, singing, and pointing to a stack of money he had in one hand. Officers were able to confirm the man was Pistol, so they called the emergency task force to assist in taking him down. At 9:15 p.m., Toronto
once you get put on that wanted,
forced open the apartment door.
What are they gonna do? Everything to catch
the
you?
mastermind himself. Pistol was detained and removed from the apartment. When police officers searched the unit, they found an alarming amount of cash and drug paraphernalia. There was marijuana, around $2,000 worth of cocaine, and nearly $3,000 worth of fentanyl-laced heroin on the kitchen counter, along with digital scales and small baggies. There was also around $2,000 in $20 bills. Pistol was subsequently arrested and charged with several drug trafficking offenses in addition to the kidnapping offenses. The remainder of May would see more and more arrests, and by June, there was everyone involved in the shooting.
Wait, hold on. Wait, him and Preza are mans, right?
Yeah.
So how is Preza still rapping to this day, and this nigga's in jail?
Kidnapping would have been arrested, except for this man, Mr. Ransky Gleeshy. This would be surprising considering the fact that his mother and sister were arrested before him, as officers found information indicating they were at their Swansea Mews residence when the torture and assault occurred. Officers were hoping their arrest would entice Ransky to surrender, but it didn't. He remained on the run until the 23rd of June, when he would finally be captured all the way in Montreal.
He was on BT. He didn't give a fuck about his mama and sister.
About me.
A man wanted for a gang-related gunfight and kidnapping downtown is back in Toronto tonight after being arrested in Montreal. Lincoln Anthony Richards arrived on a flight
Damn, they
at
called him in the Aqua AIDS, man.
He was picked up during a traffic stop in Montreal just over 2 weeks ago.
This nigga, you're going to jail, nigga. Throwing up gang signs.
In a downtown condo
That nigga don't care.
Police say it involved rival gangs. Following the gunfight, 2 teenage boys were kidnapped and tortured.
With the arrest of Ransky, the final piece to the investigation was completed and trial could finally begin. First up was Pressa. He hired one of Toronto's most reputable lawyers, most prominent for handling YG's case. According to Pressa, he dropped $50K for his services, and it seemed to have paid off as he was released on bail by the beginning of the new year. He was even allowed to travel to Europe and tour with Drake on his Boy Meets World tour, which ultimately elevated his career to where it's at now.
Oh,
The rest
shit.
of the gang weren't as lucky. They were stuck in pre-trial custody until the end of the year, and with the abundant amount of evidence provided, the judge wouldn't take long to come up with a verdict.
Damn. Yo, nah, this nigga, yo.
That nigga
Yo.
the case.
Yo. Nah, he slapped, nah, his lawyer beat up the case. See? Listen, chat. Niggas start getting around Drake, and then niggas start beating
years.
Niggas start beating cases. They start getting around Drake. I'm just saying. Bro, he kidnapped niggas that got caught with that much drugs and did
Top 5 is one of the.
Nigga, that was the video. Niggas end up getting 6 and 9 years.
I'm sorry, chat.
And nigga that got 6 is already out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They spanked that. I ain't gonna lie.
Nigga that got 9 is where gonna be out like what? This video came out. I don't even know when that video came out, but
shit.
Yeah, it was the last one.
It's part of Project.
Oh, so that nigga getting released in like 3 years time now.
I'm saying like
Top 5.
Oh, this is a nigga I know about, but damn, I didn't even know that. That was a crazy story.
It's wild, yo.
I
didn't even know Preza was like, like really like mob ties. Like he's really like he out there.
Like I remember Preza going on tour with Drake, but I didn't know he was out there really fighting cases.
You know what I'm saying?
He beat that shit. Like there's a whole video. Like niggas, they captured that shit on camera.
I mean, if that was the whole video, technically we ain't really see nobody's face for real. So.
Oh, he did. Niggas were just suspecting all these members.
You know exactly. That and then
just try to put the pieces together and whatnot.